Hi everyone, it's Cindy and welcome back to Studioloo. Well, we made it. Here we are for the final day of Dephemberember 2022, day 25, leather and ATC artist trading card. So if you've been with me this whole time, I really appreciate you. It is actually Christmas Day for those of you who celebrate. Merry Christmas. For those of you who don't, I hope you're also having just a wonderful day. Or if you're celebrating a day of Hanukkah, or if you're celebrating any other holiday, I just hope it's a great day. So today is kind of an interesting one. I was thinking about a lot of things today. What to put into making an ATC. I was never really a part of, when ATCs are really big. I think it was probably, I don't know if it was like the 2010s-ish that I saw them kind of big. But I wasn't really a part of a paper art community at that time or a journaling community. So I didn't ever take part in that kind of thing. But I did do a lot of art trading online and different kinds of things. I even started my own I used to write on this website called diaryland.com, and the stories I could tell you. But that being said, I did a lot of art trading through that platform, including handmade fridge magnets and all sorts of just different things, and we had a really great time. It was a lovely community. If you use diaryland.com, and then later on I moved to LiveJournal, back in those days, when the internet was bigger than the 5 websites that it seems to be today. So lots of good memories, and today has me feeling kind of nostalgic, kind of happy because I'm having a wonderful time with my family today, but also kind of sad because my parents aren't able to be here today because of just an epic snowstorm that has hit southeastern Ontario where they live, and there's about over 5 feet of snow, and so they've been very busily trying to keep warm and to keep the snow under management for their community, and it's just a weird kind of day, but hopefully they'll be here within the next day or two once they call off the emergency order so that people can drive again once the snow is all cleaned up. So that being said, I'm thinking about just a lot of things today, to put it very lightly. So today's animal is the bird, and I started to think about how I've had many times in my life where birds were special to me. But because I'm thinking about my parents who couldn't be here today, I'm thinking a little bit about my mom and how when I was a kid, we had a mourning dove, or a ring-necked dove actually, and her name was Snowy. And she was an absolutely lovely, peaceful, wonderful bird with the most gentle coo and the most gentle spirit ever. She was the most lovely bird, and we had her for her whole life. And then after she's gone, we got Snowy 2, who was a completely different bird. And I mean, just a crazy bird, a hilarious but totally crazy bird. So I'm thinking a little about, I'll get back to my bird story in a moment, also about how to put my signature on my artist trading card. So this little paper doll is part of a collection that I released to my Patreons today. And I'm going to use her because she's the one that looks kind of the closest to me as a little girl. And I think what I want to do is just remember this bird story and kind of live vicariously through my mom. So my mom really loved Snowy 1. My mom spent a lot of time taking care of her. And then Snowy 2, I would say my mom liked her, loved her as much as you can love a crazy bird, but most of all just endured all of her nonsense. My mom had to deal with all her antics. And one thing that she used to do is she used to land, she would do 2 things. Snowy 1 would land in my mom's hair and kind of nest there and just sit there, and it was very sweet. Snowy 2 would fly over my mom's head, poop dive bomb on her, do a couple circles, and then come back and then nest in her hair. So Snowy 2, I gotta give it up to you, girl. You were someone to remember. So I'm going to make a little a little ATC today. So I've obviously got to size this down a bit, although I'm not actually trading this card, so I'm allowed to do whatever I want, as big as I want it to be. And I want it to be a little big, bigger than your typical ATC, I would say. You know, I think that ATCs, when they were being traded back in the day, I think they were actually like playing card size, I want to say, but I could be wrong. I think I did receive a couple with like art mail that I received, or like orders that I received from artists who I purchased things from, and that they were around, you know, the size of like a playing card. But we're going to go rogue today. So the first thing I want to do, this is a piece of red cardstock that I just pulled out of my stash, my scrap bin, I should say. And another thing I'm thinking about are just different things that kind of make me as an artist and define my style a bit, and what that means. And that's actually something I've struggled with my whole life as an artist. And I've had a lot of people say that they see my style when I myself have a very hard time seeing my signature. I know that, you know, certain things make up who I am as an artist, you know, inspiration wise. I know I'm very inspired by nature. I'm very inspired by children's illustration, like literature and book illustration. I'm inspired by poetry and all sorts of things, really. I would say that mostly, I think, whoopsies, my style has become one that is a little bit eclectic, and I'm good with that. Like, I think I'm good with being eclectic. Okay, so we have essentially the shape of a card. I know we have a little dip here. I'm going to try to fix that. You know what I could do? I want a torn edge, but I just keep I keep mucking it up. Hold on. Let's not talk a minute. Let me just tear. It wants to not tear straight. And maybe that's a sign, right? Maybe I should just let it go. Okay, there we go. So now what I want to do with this is, again, work from what I have here, because I think a big part of what I do a lot of days, I'm just looking for a piece of paper. 1 minute. Should not be a hard thing to come up with, right, in this space, but okay, here we go, just a plain piece of paper. So I think what I want to do is get back to just being eclectic and actually do some collaging from scraps of eclectic things that I have. I've got a technical drawing, cabbage dye paper, some cork, a little piece of calendar, random, you know, bits and bobs of paper, and then some book page that is sprayed blue from some work that I've done. So I'm just going to do a little collage first. And I'd say there's a couple other things that make a little bit up some of my style, and that would be adding fiber art where I can. I'm going to leave a little border, I think, of red. Fiber art. And so I have, and don't freak out, please, okay? This is a hat that I knit a very long time ago. It was kind of a test knit, and I'm going to cut a piece of it up and put it into this. I was planning to just tear the yarn out anyways, but I just really love the texture of this. This is not a yarn that I spun. This is a commercially made yarn, but it's also very lovely. It's a synthetic fiber though, and I don't really use or wear synthetic fibers anymore so much in knitwear, and that's why it's here. And also it's a weird fit. It was something that I made many years ago that I've held on to because, well, I do that sometimes. I'm like, I put so many hours into this, I have to do something with it. So we will do something with it. And that's actually kind of, I don't know, I feel like today's a bit of a personal video. Sorry for that little blurb there. It's the last day of Dephemerember and my camera decided it just wanted to randomly stop recording. Thankfully, it let me know right away. So anyways, as I was saying, it's kind of a personal video in that, like, it's the last day of Dephemberember. It's Christmas Day. I'm thinking about a lot of things. The year is wrapping up. I'm thinking about what's to come in the following year. You know, I think since the end of 2019, it's been a challenging time. It's been a time for me where I feel like I've had to do a lot of adjusting, and I've had to do a lot of thinking, like more thinking than I think I've ever really wanted to do. Doing a lot of precaution type stuff, having small children, not wanting to be sick. You know, it's a time, right, for all of us. So that being said, like, I feel like it's kind of a personal video. So it has been a really nice year on YouTube. I can definitely say that. I've had a really nice experience. I have kind of virtually met a lot of wonderful people, and I think I will probably end up meeting a lot more. You know, if you're new here, if you found me through Dephemberember, thanks for coming along and sticking by. And if you subscribed, thank you. That's really awesome of you. It's nice to have a community, you know, it's nice to feel like we're talking to someone and that we're inspiring each other. And so yeah, I definitely feel very like I'm in my stride, enjoying YouTube as I balance with like the rest of my life. And it's been really fun taking part for my second year in Dephemberember. I think this Dephemberember did push me in certain ways, in that the main reason is just because, like, I feel like I had to adjust to the fact that I didn't have all the information I needed first thing in the morning to make the videos. So I actually had to film, you know, in the middle of my day, which can be a little challenging because I'm super busy with 2 little kids and a full-time job, and it's kind of hard to film sometimes. And then of course after you film, like, your video will take hours to upload. So that's kind of the unspoken, you know, challenge that that I had this year. But I mean, I do look at it like I was doing this to myself a little bit because I wanted to wait and see what would the daily animal be, you know, that Louisa and Barbara were releasing into our space. And I kind of wanted to follow along with that because I just love them, and I feel like it's nice to just follow along and, you know, do it all together. And last year, it's funny because I've heard Barbara talk about how she didn't like to look at the next day's prompt because it would fill her brain with all these things and she wouldn't be able to get to sleep, like, at night, right? So I get it, but actually I feel like it had the opposite effect on me. I have lost my fabric scissors. I don't know where they are, so please bear with me here. This could be a little scarier just because I don't have fabric scissors and it's going to fray more. And I want to just create this neat little thing so you don't have to look at it. But what I'm doing is I'm trying to cut a nest shape out of this. So that's what we're doing. Okay. So anyways, so I heard Barbara talk about how she didn't like to look at the prompts at night because it would keep her awake. But for me, it was kind of the opposite effect. I would have these lovely, like last year, I would have these lovely, lovely dreams, you know, about what I was going to do. And I would actually get these great ideas at night when I was, you know, going to sleep. And it would actually help me get to sleep. It's the funniest thing, like how things work differently for different people. So yeah, I think that was the biggest challenge for me this year. And I think if the format is the same, if they do this again next year and like the videos come out later in the day, I may abandon the animal prompt or the unknown prompt and just go along with the challenge itself and maybe make up my own prompt, additional prompt. I've seen a few other people doing that, or they did like a lottery of the animals, so they would put them all in a bin, and you know, they would just choose the one that they picked out of the bin. I want her to go a little higher. There we go. Okay. Yeah, so I don't know. I may do that just to kind of take the pressure off of myself, because I can definitely admit that there were days this month where I felt like, I don't feel like doing a video. I've been busy all day or whatever. But yeah, I did it. I stuck by it. I got it done. I'm happy for that. We need to make this a little smaller. Okay. Oh, this is gonna stress people out. I can hear them right now. Probably saying, what is she doing? What a mess. how could she cut up that hat? I crocheted it. I can do what I want. Okay. So yeah, another part of this is like, I hope that I can at least inject into my work a little bit of a sense of humor, maybe a little bit of sarcasm from time to time, because that's a major coping strategy in my life. Having a sense of humor, I think, is one of the most important things that you can have, at least in my world. It helps me to cope with a lot of things, to deal with a lot of things, to just embrace a lot of things, and hopefully like you have that same thing in your life. I think like I get along with comedians the most. It's kind of one connection that I have, even with my husband. It was a part of how we connected, and yeah, a sense of humor is probably one of the most attractive things about a people, about a friend, about a relationship to me. Okay, let's pop our bird here. Can I fit her in there? Okay, let's try. I may have to shave her tail down a little bit here. That's okay though. My yarn has stuck, and that was the more important part of this whole scenario for me. So I'm just going to lift her tail and trim it back at the, what I'll do is maybe just make a line with a pencil so I can match it up to this little section where I've kept the red. I'm just going to, sorry if I'm blocking you here. There. Yeah, so this year has been such a strange, like, snowmageddon. We were supposed to get a snowmageddon kind of here too, but then the forecast changed, and it's mostly been just really cold and quite windy. But where my parents live, oh my goodness, it is just wild. And I remember those winters when I was a kid. Definitely we had those winters, because you get a lot of lake effect snow, living near Lake Ontario. So I'm just capping my glue bottles. Okay, so now we have this bird nesting in her hair. And I was saying a little bit about like, oh, leather. We need to add some leather. So I've got this sample book of leather strips, something that I thrifted a long time ago. And I'm going to just take a little bit of it, just a little bitty. And I'm going to just cut a couple little pieces here. One. I'm just going to make a little collage with it, or add it to the existing collage really. And I'll take one side of each, the sort of leathery looking side and the suede-y looking side. I'm not a big leather person. It reminds me of like when I was a kid. Another childhood memory. My mother was really into these boots that were called desert boots, and they were made from like weird suede, but they were like ankle high. And there was this thing that happened in my childhood, I don't know if this happened to all of you, where like if one of your parents was into something, they automatically kind of treated it like you would also be into it. Like if, you know, my mom got a certain kind of haircut, they would like cut my hair like that. It was kind of hellish, I won't lie. And so like my mom got a pair of like black desert boots, and then they got me like a brown pair, like a suede brown taupey kind of pair, and I hated them. Like I hated them so much. Nobody else was wearing these things. It was clearly like an adult trend, not a kid trend, and I was probably in like grade 5 or something when this whole thing went down, and like I had to wear them to school, and I was just like, ugh. And you know, people school kids are, you know, they're not the nicest all the time, and oh, did they tease me about these boots. But I never mentioned it. I just kind of went on about my way in life and struggled, as we do for our parents. Because there's this funny element of like, I think children, you know, they don't necessarily understand how embarrassment works or insult works. And some kids, I think for me, I was especially sensitive to worrying about making my parents feel like lesser than. So yeah. Okay, so I was talking about how sarcasm and circumstance and humor are like a big part of my life. So I found something here in this. This is like a Tim Holtz word book. I was just going to probably write out my own, but I thought I would look in this snarky small talk one and see if there was something here. And I did see something, and it's this one. We'll be best friends forever because you already know too much. And I just thought it was a funny one because a lot of my friends who know me, I feel like they can relate so much to me. If I were to say this, I'm thinking definitely of my girlfriend Karen, who I love to bits and I miss her lots. And she's also in the Snowmageddon. And yeah, I just think, you know, friendship is like a big part of why a lot of us are here. And that definitely was something that many of us came to when, you know, 2019 kind of ended with such a somber note. And I know that's when I kind of came along to this community, and I just sort of happenstanced upon a junk journal, you know, video one day. And having it honestly was like a kindred thing, having been a book collector. I've been also someone who has planned throughout my life for the future in many ways, and I had been purchasing a lot of books in my life for children before I even had children. And one of the things that I've learned this year as I'm doing a lot of home renovation and cleaning is that as someone who like stores things for the future a little bit excessively sometimes, that, you know, don't store the future now because you will never get there. It will hold you back. And so slowly I'm learning that. And I think, you know, it's one of those lessons that are it's kind of hard come to. You don't initially think about it, but I am thinking about that. So I want to take a big, deep breath going into 2023. I want to clear the cobwebs. I want to straighten things out. I want to do a lot of things like that and just honestly embrace the stage of my life that I'm in because it's really great. So yeah, I guess that's what I want to say to you, is that I hope that you find that same kind of spirit, that you clear the proverbial cobwebs of your life like I am, and that we all can kind of move forward creatively and hopefully get over a few things while still protecting ourselves from things that, you know, we feel passionate about. Yeah, so I'm so happy to have you here, and thank you for joining me for this final day and this ATC. If you are interested in these paper dolls, you can find them on my Patreon. And yeah, that's about it for me for now. I will be back though with all sorts of fun things I'm planning. Dephemberember has been awesome. Thank you so much to Barbara from 49 Dragonflies and Louisa Heinzel from Junk Journal Art. Both of you are wonderful. I love to watch both of you. You're inspiring, you're fun, and you know, I really appreciate the most is how completely like down to earth, personal, and human you are. I appreciate that not everything is pre-planned and pre-taped and all that kind of thing. I just think it's really nice to have like a bit of a human rapport, right? So that's it today, guys. I hope you're well. Happy holidays. We'll talk soon. Bye for now.